Lost civilizations, the Golden Age, Shangri-La. Might there be some truth to these ancient tales? Our ancestors spoke of a grand cycle bringing about high ages of enlightenment and low ages of darkness, marked by the movement of the heavens.
The notion of individuals in their own place of worship being connected to some larger, either terrestrial or cosmic space, is not uncommon.
Mayan astronomy looked at huge cycles of movements of stars. They actually had an exact date in their calendar for the beginning of the world.
The evidence for these advanced civilizations is almost universal in the sense that they seem to be at their height very near the beginning.
Just as day and night are caused by the spinning earth, and the seasons are caused by the earth's orbit around the sun, some ancient cultures believed there's an even larger cycle that influences the rise and fall of civilizations. History and astronomy may help us rediscover this forgotten cycle, a cycle said to be so vast it reaches beyond our solar system, yet affects our everyday lives. Plato called it the Great Year.
And a time to every purpose under heaven.
Could it be that our sun is in a binary orbit, creating a 24,000-year cycle that affects the rise and fall of civilization? Many ancient cultures seemed to think so, and now some modern-day scientists agree. If true, there should be evidence of advanced civilizations older than the 5,000 or 6,000 years we find in most of today's textbooks.
Up until recently, archaeology placed the origins of what we would call civilization back about 3,000, 3,500 BC, with the rise of Sumer and Egypt and India, China as well. But over the last 4 or 5 decades, it's becoming clear that there was plenty going on before that.
Recent discoveries of complex structures near Hammacher, Syria, are estimated to date back almost 6,000 years. Still more startling, a team of Indian oceanographers has found the remains of a huge city submerged in the Gulf of Cambay. An astounding 10 square miles in size, the city has been carbon dated at 9,500 years old. And in Nabta Playa, Egypt, a circle of stones acts as a calendar star map that plots the exact points of stars and possibly their distances. Archaeologists believe the site might be as old as 10,000 BC.
Definitely, Indians were in North America at least 14,000 years ago, probably 15,000, 16,000 years ago.
Almost every week or month or so, they're finding some new bit of archaeological evidence that keeps pushing the clock back.
These discoveries confirm that complex societies all over the globe are older than previously thought. There's also evidence that ancient cultures on different continents communicated with each other. Is it just coincidence that the architecture from the Americas, the Middle East, and Asia share some striking similarities? Communication between civilizations on different continents is also suggested by their use of similar timekeeping systems. The Babylonians, Egyptians, and Yucatec Mayans all had comparable means of dividing the days, months, and years.
In Asia and in Mexico, there is a calendar system based on astronomy, which also is used to predict people's fate according to the planets and stars that were above at the moment of their birth. Each day of the month was named after something like rabbit or deer or flint. And there are series of these names that are identical in Asia and in Mexico. Not just the names, but they follow the same series.
If you look at the so-called solar boat of Khufu, this is built unquestionably in 2500 BC, and that's a fabulous boat, 150 feet long with a sail on it. That's as good a ship as anything up to the clipper ships of the 19th century. And so it seems to me that with ships of that sort, pretty much anybody could go anywhere.
While the idea of transoceanic contact is still in debate, there is no question that some ancient cultures were more advanced in some ways than we are today. This is consistent with the cycle of the Great Year.
Much of Egyptology of the last century has been incredibly stubborn and almost deliberately designed to denigrate the achievements of the ancient Egyptian. Part of the blame for this lies, I'm afraid, with Darwin, whose theory of evolution as a linear and inevitable process going from primitive human beings to our own advanced selves, so that it became inadmissible to acknowledge that the ancient Egyptians actually knew more in many ways, certainly than the Greeks. The Greeks, in fact, acknowledged Egypt as the source of their wisdom, and doubly inadmissible to even suppose that the ancient Egyptians knew something that we don't. One of the things that the academics are very good at is denying that a mystery exists when it's quite clear that one exists. For example, the Great Pyramid of Giza, where constructed of 2.5 million blocks of stone, supposedly going up over the course of 30 years, which computes to 1 or 2 blocks are going into place every minute. And when you figure that the roof of the King's Chamber is built of 70-ton blocks of granite, this beggars the imagination. So engineers who look at this say, they laugh, because they say, in no way can you explain how these things got levered up ramps and into place in that period of time, or how they got put into place at all.
Many of the early temples, megaliths, pyramids, and obelisks are not only built to such fine tolerances that they did not require mortar, a feat that modern engineers are hard-pressed to explain, but many of them are aligned with celestial phenomena, or reflect sophisticated mathematical concepts, indicating that these ancient cultures had a larger cosmic awareness. According to author Graham Hancock, key temples in the ruins of Angkor in Cambodia are laid out to mimic the pattern of stars in the constellation Draco. Other researchers have demonstrated that the Sphinx of Giza in Egypt aligned with the constellation Leo as it appeared in the sky at that time. These two examples show the connection